sure that you're going and you're seeing this thing, because I promise it's going to be something to see.
Yeah, not every day you get to see a public execution.
What's up, everybody? Scott Arnold from Southern Indiana Combat Production here. Super excited to bring you Road Trip with Southern Indiana Combat. We are brought to you today by Franklin Pizza Factory, and that's at 2033 West Franklin Street in Evansville, Indiana. And I am so excited. Episode 1. Very first episode. With me, I've got special guest Josh Schockman. He is a Strikeforce veteran, UFC veteran, crane operator. Man, you are a list of many things. Man. But most importantly to me, the main commentator for Southern Indiana Combat Production, bro. Dude. What's going on with you?
I'm the primary idiot behind a mic for SICP, bud. That's just what I like to do. It's what I be doing, amongst other things. I do a million things, dude. But one of the things I enjoy most in life is doing commentary for the promotion, for sure.
Well, I know we love you. We appreciate to have you. We're not so much here to talk about Southern Indiana Combat. We're here to talk about you, Josh Schockman. Man, let's hear about it. You were an old school fighter back in the day. Yeah. Let's hear about it.
I started fighting. Officially, I started to compete in 2003. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee in 2002 to start training and competing as a mixed martial artist. It's really just as a pugilist in general. I would get into any form of competitive fighting that I could find. It didn't matter if it was jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, whatever. Like, I was down to do anything involving violence while I'm getting paid money. If I could go somewhere and hit somebody and not get arrested and get paid, that's what I'm doing. So that's kind of what got me into it, man. I started boxing when I was 16. I wrestled in middle school a little bit, but like most of my background is just getting into fights as a young man and just doing a lot of stupid stuff and just being violent, and it pretty much led me to go getting into mixed martial arts and kickboxing and boxing in general.
Dude, that's awesome, man. You said that you went to Nashville. Was there a main gym down in Nashville, or did you kind of bounce around?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Who were you training with back in those days in Nashville?
A guy by the name of Ed Clay, man.
Ed Clay.
Yeah, that's my bro. Ed's a super good dude, man. I moved down there to train with Ed at Nashville Mixed Martial Arts back in 2002. I moved down there with $200 and no car, bro. I went down there with nothing. And started working the club scene down there. Started working after hours clubs and different nightclubs, and like it was crazy, man. Like doing that stuff. That whole scene was just wild. But it was a great side gig for me, and it really complimented me as a fighter, because that's mostly what I did at work. Like, I was constantly getting into fights at work because the clubs I was working at, like, a lot of times, after about 11 o'clock at night, people had had enough to drink and enough to smoke and enough to snort at that point, where they weren't really trying to hear you when you told them to leave. And you asked,
you're out there beating up the dope heads.
I mean, the fiends and the dealers, man, they were all in the club, dude. Like, I love it. I mean, it was wild, man. I got a chance to do. I got into doing armed and unarmed security. I got into doing executive protection. I worked for Juvenile. I worked for Juicy J, LaChat from 3-6 Mafia. I worked for Bun B a little bit. When those guys would come to Nashville, I worked for Pastor Troy, and then a bunch of smaller acts that you've probably never heard of. But they would come into town and they would hit up the guys that I worked with, and they would assign me to go do executive protection details for those guys. And,
so, Josh, you're like a brother to me, man. I love you to death. Look up to you as a mentor. You give me a lot of guidance in Southern Indiana Combat. Totally appreciate that. But you literally started your career with $200, a car.
No
drove
car.
To no car.
No car.
So $200, no car.
I got a ride to Nashville, bro.
Nashville. So whenever we talk about fighting, and we see these young fighters coming up, there's a difference of fighting for fun, fighting for experience, fighting to go pro and make a little bit of money, and then fighting for a career. You've been on those big stages, a Strikeforce veteran, as a UFC veteran. You fought for a career. So can you explain to me a little bit about what that transition was like from your amateur to jumping on pro, then going from pro to Strikeforce, then Strikeforce to UFC?
Well, let me preface all this by saying this, man. When you get into fighting is first of all, being a pugilist is a way of life. Being a pugilist is something that people do because, well, usually by and large because they don't see any other better opportunity in life. Or they just put themselves there in a position where they don't have any other option in life but to pursue that and to be successful at it. And it's not really a career, it's an opportunity. Like, you can only fight for so long, man. Like, your body can only take the punishment that is derived from training day in and day out and doing that sort of stuff to fight and compete at a high level. Your body can't keep up with that for a prolonged period of time. Like, you have a window of opportunity and that's it. So, like, being a doctor, that's a career. Being a dentist, being in the building trades, being a teacher, those are careers. Like, being a fighter, that's just an opportunity to grab some money to invest in yourself. Like, that's sense. What that is. But yeah, man, the road of a pugilist is a hard one, man. And I mean, I did other things as I was doing that to pay the bills. And I gained other skill sets along the way as I was doing that to try to make a better life and a better future for myself. But yeah, man, starting out doing that stuff, it was crazy. I was approached by a friend of mine that I had known for years. And he's like, man, I'm down here in Nashville and I'm training with these guys, and it's a really good place to train, and these guys are really good at jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. Like, I think you could move down here and train with me and go really far, man. And I was just like, yeah, screw it, why not?
Like $200, let me get a ride.
Man, dude, that's literally what happened, man, because I was at a point in life, I went to college, I graduated college, I got a job, I got laid off from that job, and I was just in a position in life where, like, my cousin had just got sent to prison, all my friends were, like, in and out of jail, like I was going nowhere fast, I was just out doing dumb stuff. The only good thing that I did was go to school, finish that school program and get a job, and then when I got laid off, I was just like, man, what am I going to do with my life now at this point? Like, everybody who's close to me is incarcerated or doing dumb shit. Like, I'm aimless. I have nowhere to go that's positive at this point. I need to do something. And I was just in a position where I was just evaluating my life. And I was honestly considering joining the military or the French Foreign Legion, as crazy as that sounds. But I got approached by
I know you. That's not crazy to me because I know you. Like,
right.
You would do something like that.
No, I was on my way to do just that. And when I got approached by my friend, I was like, man, this is perfect. Like, I'm violent. I have a propensity for violence. I'm good at it. I enjoy it. Just screw it. Why not? So I went off, and that's what I pursued, man. And it was, I believe to this day, I have my regrets about certain things, but it was a worthy endeavor. It taught me a lot. It taught me about myself and where I fit in this life. And it taught me a lot of things about assessing my life and doing a lot of introspection and seeing, what I need to do, how hard I need to be on myself to get to where I need to go, and to be disciplined to get to where I need to go. And it taught me a lot of things that I never really had been taught or had experienced. And I would have never been taught or experienced if I hadn't have pursued that choice in life. So
that's awesome, Josh. I know our
good.
fans might not know this, but I know this, like I said, because you're a close friend of mine. You're still involved today. Not only are you commentating, you're in the grind, man. You're out there working with these young fighters coming up. Not only young fighters, you're also helping some of the fighters that are fighting on the bigger stage now, such as sparring partners, training and working out with everybody. Man, you've made it a lifestyle, and I totally admire you for that. But outside of the cage, outside of fighting, you've seen where UFC first started, and you see where UFC is now. You see where regional shows are now. You see where your Bellator's, PFL, stuff like that, and you're working for Southern Indiana Combat. Where do you see when it started to what Southern Indiana Combat is providing for Evansville nowadays?
Well, I'll give you a little history lesson on Evansville, man. Evansville at one point was a fight mecca. And the reason Evansville was a mecca for fighters is because of the fight show that was here previous to Southern Indiana Combat.
And that was Hook and Shoot.
It was a Hook and Shoot. The Hook and Shoot inspired me and really lit a fire under my ass to get involved in mixed martial arts. Like, I'd never really seen anything like that live in my life. And I saw it and I was instantly in love with it. Like, it was so cool, and it was just so different at the time. Now, mixed martial arts has been embraced by our society, and it's so mainstream. Fighters are household names. Back then, like, nobody knew who these guys were. Jeff Osborne, who is a godfather in the sport.
He is a pioneer for Indiana MMA, dude. Not even Indiana, for the country of MMA.
Dude, if not for Jeff Osborne, there would probably not be any female mixed martial arts.
That's
first
true.
Of all.
That is true. I remember you and I had sit and talked about that, and Jeff played a big part in the females coming in.
Jeff Osborne was women's mixed martial arts.
He was the very first one.
Yeah. So would women's mixed martial arts be a thing today? Potentially.
Probably.
Somebody else would have came up with it.
But to say you're number one, you're the first guy that done it.
And it wouldn't be as far along, and it wouldn't be as well developed if not for Jeff Osborne, because he gave women the ability to have an outlet to actually train and pursue something bigger than just going to the gym and working out.
Absolutely. And Jeff, he's a pioneer. I mean, he worked for UFC.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's a stud. Again, I have so much respect.
I love Jeff Osborne, man. He's a super good dude, man. Great guy, pioneer of the sport. But him bringing that show to Evansville and him flying people from all over the planet to come here to fight. Like, they had guys from Brazil, Japan, all over the United States, all over South and Central America, Canada, like Europe. If there was a guy who was talented, Jeff Osborne was on the phone bringing him over here to fight.
I like that.
So outside of the UFC and certain Japanese promotions like
Pride,
Pride. There's a couple others, but yeah, Pride being the biggest one in the East. But if not for Jeff Osborne and Hook and Shoot, like, I wouldn't have been introduced to fighting in the same manner. I would have never seen my first live show here in Evansville. I would have never seen these guys who are pioneers in the sport, the Jeremy Horns, the John Ivies, all these guys that came. Frank Mir came here to Evansville to fight.
Chris Lytle.
Chris Lytle. Dude, the list is crazy, bro.
Aaron Riley.
Oh, dude. Aaron
guy.
Riley and Eves Edwards. I was there. I watched when Aaron Riley got his teeth knocked out by Eves Edwards and was still battling this dude. Crazy fight.
Warrior mindset.
Crazy fight.
Aaron Riley, that's another huge
My boy Scott Hensey, he was another one.
Solid.
Like, a lot of guys came through and got their start in mixed martial arts through the Hook and Shoot. And
it was because of Jeff.
Yeah, it was all because of Jeff. And it was all here in Evansville, Indiana. And I was fortunate enough to be in that scene and see that stuff and be influenced by it and be given an opportunity to actually, take part in mixed martial arts later on in life after I had seen that. So, yeah, it was crazy, man.
So you see that stuff back in those days. And again, I never want to take anything away from Jeff Osborne. I mean, I'll bow down to that man. He is a pioneer. He led the way in mixed martial arts around here. Hopefully, I can strive to be that name for Southern Indiana Combat Production. And you see the show now. What do you see as far as
you're
Southern
carrying
Indiana
the torch, dude?
So
the show is carrying the torch. Like, I look at what the Hook and Shoot did for the fight scene, and I look at what Southern Indiana Combat Productions is doing now, and we have the ability to carry on that torch and to introduce, people that were in the same place in life that I was when I first saw the hook and shoot are now in a place in life where they can come see SICP in the fights we have. The thing that I'm most impressed about are the fights that we have.
Our matchmaking is solid, man.
It's crazy.
Chance Beck and myself, we team up a lot on that, and we head to head all the time. But we are. You talked about Jeff flying people in. We're trying to fly people in. We're trying to reach out these talent. Obviously, we want our local fighters here to have that stage to fight on. But we also want the bangers, man. Like I want the good fights.
There's a lot of local talent.
There is a huge.
There's a
amount
lot
of
of good guys here locally that train at different places here locally that are impressive, man.
Carlos Garnett, SICP 4. His last opponent, Omar. Omar just got done fighting off PFL, man.
Great journeyman fighter, dude.
Carlos Garnett is a stud. He impressed me so much that was the best fight I've ever seen him. And I can't wait to see what he brings to the table. I know he's got a tough opponent for SICP 5. I'm putting him and Jonathan Griffin. We're throwing the 55 title up, man. A fight like that, you got to.
You got to, man.
But those guys are I can't wait to see both their careers as they blossom into this.
That's the best
sport.
I've ever seen Carlos. Carlos has been around for a while.
Yes.
I trained with Carlos a long time ago with Scott Hensey in MMA World and just worked with him and things like that on his stand-up and stuff. And like I've seen Carlos fight, and I was never really, really impressed by anything he did. But his last fight was crazy. Like he went out there and showed out.
Oh, dude, crazy.
Like I didn't think I would ever see. I had always hoped, because I like Carlos.
Oh, I did too.
I'd always hoped that he would perform at that level at some point.
He's there.
And he did, man. Like he
there,
finally,
bro.
and I've been telling him for years, man, you need to be busy. You need to come out. You need to be busier in your fights, because up until that point, everything I'd ever seen of Carlos was him just counterfighting, and just not like wasn't a lot of pace, not a lot of pushing the pace. And I think that came from him maybe being, afraid.
I think
that he was going to gas out.
Carlos now.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying.
He's not scared to gas out now, dude.
And his next opponent, it's no slouch, man. Like this dude's a gangster. Jonathan Griffin's come to fight.
Oh, he's no joke. Jonathan Griffin's no joke.
Super excited for that.
Yeah.
The other pro fighter that I'm super impressed with, and I've watched him go to other promotions, and he's lost some fights at other promotions. He has not lost at Southern Indiana Combat. And every fight gets tougher and tougher as far as challenges for him. Yeah. And that's Zach Davis. He's fighting. He's the current 170 title holder. He's fighting Dustin Parrish on this next card. Dustin Parrish, he's an older guy as well. So he's been around the block. He's fought for LFA. I believe he either did fight or he's fought for LFA in the past, or he was getting ready to fight in LFA. But anyway, Zach is super impressive right now. We're throwing him to the wolves too, man. Let's bring in Dustin Parrish. Let's bring that next harder challenge.
Dude, Cadillac Zach is that guy that on paper should lose all these fights and always beats the hell out of these people, and it's hilarious.
He was the underdog against Travis Foster.
It's crazy. When he beat Chance, like I was like, that's the wildest shit I've seen.
We speak about Chance. Chance and Gina, they're close to my heart too. They commentate with you side by side.
Yeah, those are my homies.
Chance is knocking on the UFC's door right now.
Yes.
I mean, he is right there.
He went out there and gassed against
Dana White. If
Zach.
you hear this, if you don't pick up Chance Beck, I mean, PFL one's going to, like, that's a guy you need to look at.
Hey, somebody's going to pick him up, man. If you don't, somebody else will, and he's going to put asses in seats and sell tickets, so it's whatever.
That's a fact.
Zach beat him, and I was like, man, that's crazy. And then Trent Knott fought him, and I was like, I like Zach, but that's a tough fight, dude. Well, like, Zach's potentially going to lose that.
Chance Beck is a 45-pound fighter.
Yeah, he fought way up. He was out of shape.
Absolutely.
He didn't have no business taking that fight.
Trent Knott came in. Trent Knott should be fighting at 185. Mm-hmm. To make 170,
he had a hard weight cut a bunch of weight.
Might have been one of the worst ones I've ever seen.
Yep, went out there and got blasted upside his head, dude. And Zach just.
And then Travis Foster, highly respected guy, loved the guy to death. Very Christian man, which I'm a Christian myself, so I absolutely love and respect Travis Foster. Zach was the underdog for that fight. And I'm telling you, through that fight, I don't know if something was wrong.
I knew Zach was going to win that fight against Travis.
But I can tell you right now, that was the best performance I've ever seen Zach put on.
I would have bet every last penny that I own on Zach Davis for that fight.
Dude,
I knew he was going to win.
It was a good fight. It was a good fight.
I knew he was going to win. Travis is Travis is going on the back end of his career at this point. Like, he's an older guy. He's been doing this for a while.
I saw on Facebook, he made a comment that he's done with MMA, and I hope not. Hopefully we see him back at the SICP cage. He sent me a couple messages. I got to call him and talk to him. Like I said, absolutely love the guy. We'd love to have him back for sure. We just got to find the right fight for the right price that he wants.
Yeah.
But with that said, if he does decide to stay out of MMA and go straight boxing, all the best to him, man. All the best to him. I hope that he is successful and does great. Like I said, we absolutely love that man here.
Yeah, me too. He's a good dude. He's just, man, you know, the years are not kind to you in combat sports.
They're not. He's getting up there. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
we say that, but he's still actually, he's in his 20s. I don't think he's in his 30s yet, man. I'm telling you, he looks a little older than what he is.
That guy, if that guy's in his 20s, bro, he's had the whole, man.
Yeah, I'm serious.
How's he in his 20s, dude?
He is not that old, man.
Nah, man.
I promise you, he's not as old as what you're thinking.
That dude looks like he's 40-something, bro.
Now I gotta look. I'm taking a pause real quick. I gotta look. I'm sorry. This is important to me. So
Travis don't look young for nothing, dude.
I'm telling you, he ain't got his year posted out. I'll have to pull up a couple of contracts and look and see. So episode 2, I'm gonna get you back with Travis's age. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm telling you, he's not as old as what you think.
He ain't no spring chicken. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock the dude. You know, I like him. He's a good fighter, but you know, you can tell he's aging, man. And
He's a fighter, though, man. He'll fight.
He's a dog, dude. That dude will fight you until he's dead.
I know for a fact that he is the guy that if the money makes sense to him, that if I call him,
he'll
no
fight
matter
anybody.
who opponent it is,
he'll fight anybody.
He's standing up there, he's fighting, he's banging.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking bad about him at all. I'm just saying what it is, man. Like,
but so we talk about SICP moving up to the bigger stages, or having some of these fighters that's fought for SICP moving up to the bigger stages. Zach Davis, man, he's probably a fight or two away. Also, there is no reason why he's not getting called up to PFL 1 or even UFC.
Yeah.
He needs to be fighting up shows right now. He most impressive I've ever been with Zach Davis was his last fight.
Yeah, it was
and
crazy.
Zach is a good friend of mine. I love the guy to death. I'll do anything in the world for him. But definitely the most impressive fight I've seen him. His composure was the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he was in there piecing up Travis. Like, it was bad. I mean, that was a very one-sided fight. Like, Travis had his spots, but it was a very one-sided fight, and it was a really good showing for Zach.
Right.
You know?
It was a very good showing for Zach. And again, that takes nothing away from Travis. Travis is still a great guy in my eyes, and again, we would love to have him back.
Man. Super tough dude. Like, good fighter. That just was not his night, man. And I mean, I could have told you that it wasn't going to be his night.
So back to you, Josh. Though, so we moved from old to new. Mm-hmm. You're still in the game. You're still in there working. You're still in there teaching. But that's not all you do. So you're a crane operator in the daytime.
Yeah.
Canines, bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some canines. You guys actually own a business, right?
Well, my wife owns Full Auto Canine, man. So I train a lot of dogs, man. I work with everything from pets to sport dogs to personal protection dogs to police dogs. So I stay pretty busy with that stuff. I have a good time with it.
Well, I know for a fact that so I'm a police officer as well, and our partner here at Southern Indiana Combat Production, he's a canine handler as well. Yeah. You guys are on the phone constantly just talking about canine stuff like that. So I know you guys are bouncing ideas and stuff, everything back and forth. That's a passion of yours as well.
Oh, I love it, man. I've been messing with those dogs. I started messing with work dogs in 2004 with a buddy of mine. He's deceased now, a guy by the name of Terry Eminette. He got me into working dogs, man, and I just fell in love with it. Like, those animals are they're badass, man. Like, they're crazy.
You have one dog specifically, though, that like is near and dear to your heart, because I hear the name, and it's Sasha.
Yeah.
Like, I hear this name all the time coming from you. Now, this dog just accomplished something, is that right?
She's so I've titled that dog. She's got 2 titles with the WDA, and then she just got her PDC with the PSA. So, yeah, I'm right now she's probably pregnant.
Oh man!
Right now,
we got some pups on the way.
Potentially, man. We bred her to a dog. He's a PSA 3 dog named Eli, and there's only like 39 PSA dogs ever in the history of the PSA, and it's been going for like 20 years or something great. It's pretty cool to watch, man. Pretty cool to watch what you produce. It's pretty cool to watch what you train and what you bring up. That's one thing that I really enjoy about dog training. It reminds me a lot of when I used to be a coach for fighters. I really like to enjoy watching my product. You know,
Absolutely.
watching what I created. It's very satisfying. It's very
Absolutely.
satisfying for me.
So Josh, so much talent involved in your life, man. We've got Strikeforce veteran, UFC veteran, Southern Indiana Combat Production main commentator, crane operator at day, K9 handler. Bro, you got it going. I appreciate your time coming out and speaking with us today.
Yeah, for
giving us
sure.
some knowledge.
It was nice to come out here and eat pizza, bro. Like,
Dude,
they're
we
killing
got the margarita pizza. We got the Stromboli pizza.
Franklin Street Pizza Factory, bro.
They've got it going on. Check them out,
Nice.
2033 West Franklin Street here in Evansville, Indiana. Don't forget SICP 6, October 5th, Evansville, Indiana, Old National Event Plaza. You're not going to want to miss it. 8 pro fights. We got 20 fights total.
Killing it.
These titles are going out. There's not another card around. So come check us out. October 5th, Southern Indiana Combat Production 6 Fall Brawl, Old National Event Plaza. Doors going to open at 4, first bell at 5. We'll see you there.